Hello everyone. So I just got a fresh new install of NX and I decided to output this Angular mastery courses and all videos I'm doing to GitHub, so there's gonna be a link below. But in general, NX is really good, so no brainer. I've decided to actually use it for my courses here. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna talk about n-type patterns. So there's a lot of n-type patterns when I browse the code in Kobira and I check it like what people do, and I always try to question. I always try to think, okay, why do we do things like this and how can we do it better? So I'm going to show you some of the very common n-type patterns I find in almost every Angular developer. And these are by all means not junior guys. I mean, these are guys with 5-10 years of experience in general in front end. So yeah, they're very skilled and they're very knowledgeable, but still there are some common anti-patterns that you can remove from your own habits and then turn them into something a lot more powerful. So this video and the future videos are gonna be about that. So stay tuned and let's see. Alright, so let's get to the first Angular anti-pattern. So let me show you an example. People always want to create like presentation components, right? So we have an XG lib and let's call it UI or something like that. It should be shared, and okay, I want to skip all the NX nomenclature here and do something to show you how it's done actually. Okay, so when we have this UI thing, we're gonna put all our presentational components there, right? So what we need to do most of the time is create some sort of a component. So I'm gonna go ahead, navigate to the lib, and then I'm gonna make a new Angular schematics. Not sure if you can see that now, but okay. I'm gonna call it product list. Okay, check it out. So this is a very common example. So what's happening is we have a product list and then we're gonna have all our product list logic here. So in order to show the list, we need to make a HTML list for it. So I'm gonna have URL, I'm gonna have li, eng4, and then I'm gonna say let product of products, and then product will have a name, so I'm just gonna do product.name. All right, so that's cool. I mean, of course, you would not make a presentation component out of simple stuff like this, but for now, just whatever reason, maybe you just wanna be cool, so you create that. But unfortunately, you're not cool. So let me show you some of the issues. So first, we need to definitely provide some products to it, right? I'm gonna skip the type. Okay, so simple component like that, but now I need to source that, products. I need to source that data into my component. So what I would do, not I, but what people do, is they would have some smart component. Let's just use n-type patterns for this, like the app. And then in here, they would have some service that calls that observable, and gets that observable for you, and then outputs it to the template. I will skip the service part for the simplicity, but I will create the products observable. Alright, so I need to make that observable. That's one of the simplest way to do it. And here I'm just gonna stop the data, so we know it should have a name. And this is product 1. And let me do that for a couple of more products. Okay, so once I have a product, I need to output it to my presentational component. So I need to have ngm, which is Angular master. Oh, I have an issue with it. Let me just a second. I'll fix that later. ngm like Angular mastery, and then ngm product list. Okay, so far so good. And now I just need to provide the products, right? And very common and actually preferred by me way is to use the async pipe. Okay, here we go. Now I should be seeing the list of the product. So this is a very common way of thinking about it. I'm gonna show you what is wrong about it actually. So in order to explain you the problem about this component is I'm going to show you a business case that is very commonly happening that prevents us from achieving great code. So actually it's not the business case that prevents us, it's the implementation of the business needs that prevents us from doing so. So let me give you some business examples because I believe an example speaks 1,000 words instead of just throwing a random theory at you. So, okay, business says, show me the list that you've built. And you show them this, and they say, oh, amazing, that's exactly what I wanted, I have my products. Of course, it's super basic. But what I need you to do now is to create another list. The same list. I want you to reuse the same list because it's perfect, it's exactly what I need. This is what designer prepared for you. So I need you to make another list, but now with users. And use the same one, the same styling, the same look and feel, and the same stuff. So how would you do it? Well, but what should you include in it? Well, you think you create reusable elements because this creates an illusion that is just copy-paste stuff, but it's not. And I'm gonna show you this right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new source of data called users. And it happens that users are very similar, but they don't have name, they have emails. Email 1 at computer.com, and then you go ahead and build that, even though it's very similar, right? Alright, now get me that data inside of it. Alright, no problem. All I have to do is to take that list, copy it, and then use the data here. And this is a common thing. Well, it doesn't work. Why it doesn't work? Because this is called name and this is called user. So, aside of that, it also looks super ugly. You want products, right? And you don't want users. So guess what the normal developer do? Yeah, he copies that list and he creates a new called users list. That's terrible thing to do. It's because why would you do it? This is supposed to be a UI reusable element. You made a lot of mistakes right there. So first of all is the naming. Do not ever use a domain name and the presentational name in one presentational component name. In smart components, that's okay, but in presentational, this naming already closes all the doors for reusability because you can only use it for products. Why would you do it? What you need is a list. So let me show you another example. So this is also the product. So okay, what the guy can do, he can come here and change it to items, right? Okay, now it's no user, it's items. Well, yeah, but it doesn't solve the problem. It's still item.name. So what people think, they miss an abstract thinking around it. So you need to think more abstract, right? So even though you change that to items, it still doesn't solve the problem. Of course, the whole component name also should change to a list. But it's still a problem. Why? It's because what changes here is the thing. And now, people get creative, right? One thing is to use a async pipe that will map that data. You need to map that data somehow, right? So That's one way. Another way, they would here create like a pipe with a mapping map to items, and that's not necessarily so bad, to be honest. I mean, yeah, sure, you can map that, but it's still not gonna be perfect. Let me show it to you. Actually, it's called adapter pattern, so it's not bad, but you can do it a lot better. But let me demonstrate it. So here I have a product, sorry, users, and then I'm gonna map users to a common interface. Let's say user, sorry, name, user.name. Sorry, user.email. I think that should work. Yeah, so here we go. I mean, now I have a list. Yeah, but think about it. Like, it's not cool. I mean, if you map it here as well. I mean, that's much cooler, right? I mean, you know, you don't have to think. Plus, you know, who said it needs to be a name, right? I mean, technically, if you ask me, here this item type it should have some sort of a type, and then what you can do is to, like, very good logic is to define interfaces of presentational components inside their own modules, right? Let me just rename it because it's annoying me. Yes, please. And then also here, we don't like that. So we don't like that either. Okay, let me see if it still works. Yeah, all right. So that's much better. I mean, now it's a list. It's no longer like a product list or item list, but it's sort of annoying here as well. I mean, if you look inside this item.name, actually, not many of you might know it, but this can cause a change detection problem in future. So obviously you should use change detection push strategy, or even more advanced zoneless approach. But I mean, this will do the trick for most of the stuff. So you see, what can happen is your items, something can change inside one of the name, and then change detection might not be able to pick that. It's because the items are very advanced types, you know. So what I would recommend you to do is look at your template and get me the minimum of what you want to display. There is no point of going item.name here. What you can go is to go for the whole item and then make an item a string array. I mean, I don't use anything else, so why would I push whole objects if I don't need it? It's actually violating the interface segregation principle that says do not force your clients to implement more than they need. So this is, at this level, this is all I need, so just use the normal strings. And then you can go to your app component and then just decide, hey, you know what, I don't want to map to object, I want to map just the data I want. Let me see, I think, yeah. And then I can use the same thing here. Of course, this is not user, this is product, sorry. And now, here we go. I get the same results, but much cleaner. I mean, my presentation component is not bloated, and my smart component reduces a domain model. This is domain because it's a domain of your business. Products is core of your business. Users are core of your business. This is like, it's called domain. It means it's part of yeah, your business logic and all your like maybe not sensitive, but all your like important data around the objects are there, but they have nothing to do with the presentation. You need to make that cut very clear. This is why we create libraries away from our application stuff. It's because there is a big line that says, "Do not, my business models do not cross that line," because if they do, I'm gonna have a lot of problems, and I'm gonna have a strangler situation when I, copy things over. And if you wanna really, really know what's happening, what I strongly recommend you to do is to look at your imports on top of each file. And then if you see that you include things away, like you include extra things, that's a problem. Let me show you how. In NX, you can run the dependency graph, and then you can see stuff like this. I mean, this is a very simple example. So this is an app. You can see it's in the app folder. And then I have only one library called UI, and this is the right way. So the application should point to the libraries, and then obviously you might have a lot of libraries in between, but this is the thing. Whenever you run a dependency graph and you see the arrow wedge, like this pointer points both ways, that's a big thing. This is very bad. It's because it disables you from moving one component from one place to another, and it really blocks you from reusing it, because now you have to carry a part of this enter patterns code with the UI whenever you want to change it. That's not what you really want. So yeah, there is a lot of things about it, but what you really want to know is make sure the interfaces are done right, in the right place. You don't have misplaced responsibility anti-pattern, and then you can reuse your libraries that way. Otherwise, it's pretty much impossible. So make sure you check the dependency graph of your classes, and it also works inside the modules, but it's much better because at least whatever happens in that module is not sort of a problem. It just needs to work. So from the strategic point of view, because this is a strategic view between the modules, then it's pretty okay. And then it's much easier to reason about the whole system, and then you can go and tactically approach each module and see if all the layers are in sync and things like this. So there are sort of like different layers of looking at the same picture. But yeah, there are also more challenges coming from the code, and I'm gonna show you the next case. So the list is working like it was before. So now business comes in and says, great, that's exactly what I wanted, and I know you don't create that ugly duplication of code, so I know we can run the business for longer. So now I need you, products don't really consist only of the name of the product, they also have price, right? So what I need to do, what I need you to do is to have a product here and the price on the next to it. So if it's an email of the users, keep it like that. If it's a product, it's here. So let me show you what junior developers usually do. So they will go inside the list. So first of all, let's create that data. Sorry, is it here? Okay. So every product will have also a price, and that will be $1. It's pretty cheap product, and it doesn't really matter, but okay, let's just make it different. So here we go, we do the mapping. So right now, well, that sort of becomes complicated, right? Because it's not gonna work unless you think in abstract here. But definitely I want to have like a second item or something like this. But the problem is, like, I cannot have it a secondary item. I cannot have it unless I'm only if I have it, right? So a typical case would be, okay, let's just follow the patterns, ng if, and then I'm gonna say if there is a secondary item, then put it here, right? I mean, of course, I would have to bind it to inputs and do some ng4 or maybe some mapping to this indexes or whatever. But anyway, this is not the point. So the point is that ugly ng if. So not sure if all you know that, but ifs are evil. I mean, yeah, sure, they are basics of programming, but they are not good. It's because whenever you create an if you're a, serious craftsman, you need to write tests, right? And when you write tests, you would write double the tests, because now you have one case with the if and one case without the if, which makes your code a lot less maintainable. So when you write tests, they're supposed to help you. They're not supposed to slow you down. So this is a very important thing. Like, tests actually make you go faster, not slower, and more consistent, most importantly. So whenever you have to take care of your test as well as you take care of your code. So that if requires you to write the test case. All right, what else does it do? Well, it creates complexity in your code, right? I don't know if you heard about it, but there is something called cyclomatic complexity, and there is, like, in general, complexity of your code. So the way it works is every computer program consists of some tree, okay, I'm not gonna go a lot into ASTs and all this stuff, maybe this is way too complex, but generally think about it like this. This adds complexity to your code. Whether it's in template or whether it's in your actual TypeScript code, it doesn't matter. It creates a complexity. So whenever you have a high complexity, it's very difficult to maintain, because this is only one if. What if I have else case and switch cases and if inside? That's not gonna work. I mean, look, it's just simple example. Product consists only of two things. One of it is the name and one of it is the price. What if I have variants? What if I have, SKUs, more descriptive categories? What if I have a subtree of categories? What if I have tags? What if I have comments? What if I have, statuses? That's so many things you can put to domain of product, and ain't gonna work, I tell you this. That way is a sure way to pretty much fail that task along the way. So there is a better way. Let me show you how. So what you need to do is to use content projection. This is a very important thing. Actually, at Cubero we have a rule that says every single presentational component must have a content projection. Of course, there might be some excuses, not excuses, exceptions, but there are some workarounds around it too. But let's just keep that rule until we meet a situation when we cannot use it anymore. All right, so let's do it. So what we need to do is to create a new component, and I'm gonna call that. I'm gonna make it already in the product list. It's because it's part of it. And I'm gonna call it list item. Here we go, we created list item. So I believe, yeah, okay. And the list item will take let me show it to you. So in the template, it's gonna use this sort of a template. I mean, not exactly like that, but more or less. So what's good about it? Well, a list will consist of list items. So let me just use the content projection here. And then so it keeps a semantically correct approach. So I have a UL, unordered list, and I have LI. Which is the list item, so that's working pretty cool. And now we see I don't need that ng4 anymore. However, I would need still a left text. I don't know. Well, technically, you remember what we said? We always use the content projection. So let's just use this in here as well. I mean, it's also a presentational component, right? Here we go. Of course, it's not doing anything, and you might question, why would I create all those things? And I agree with you, you shouldn't. I mean, you should just use the normal ULLI. I mean, that's okay. But imagine you have actually a lot of logics, and maybe later in the course we will go into cases of that. But just for you to know, this is just a simple example. Don't think about it anything more than that. It's pretty much teaching you advanced techniques on the basic examples. You know, like I don't have whole day to write those presentational components for you. It should teach you something, and trust me, just follow that pattern and everything else will fall into places. So here we go, we have li. So what we need to do here, we need to actually change that around and use the list item and ngm list item. And yeah, you guessed that right, I will use that list of products. So check it out, I don't need this. Isn't that beautiful? Sorry. Yeah, okay. It's not my day with typing. Product of products async. Here we go. Bang. And now I can decide to do whatever I want. So if I wanna, if I wanna have a product.name, or if I wanna have a product.price, that's cool. What do? Oh yeah. Just a second, because I still have to add this in here. Oh, I think it is. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna do exactly the same for the users. And that way, I can go back to my app component, remove the mapping, and now my container component is responsible to mapping into properties and content projection of my presentational components. And now the last thing to do is to go to the list, remove that, I don't need it anymore. I hope it should work. Not sure what is this error. Probably because I don't export it. Yeah. That should do. I really love the WebStorm, really. That's the best thing and the best idea I've ever worked on. And now let's see. Here we go. We got the price. Isn't that beautiful? I think this is awesome. Of course, it's missing the styling. I'm talking. Isn't it code-wise beautiful? Okay, but let's focus now. Okay, I have an ngm list that does not have an ugly input in here. I have ngm like list item that I can now iterate. And now imagine how flexible that is. I can decide to put the product, not put the product. I can decide to do only some part of the products. I can decide to, do so many things about it. I can now order it, reorder it without touching my presentational components. That's so awesome. So think about it this way. This is pretty much the same as we would do like this. And then something here. I'm gonna skip the ng4 part. I mean, of course, it's obvious. So, look, list, li. Isn't that what we're supposed to do in HTML? I mean, they have content projection logic here, and they have it here. Why? Like, please someone explain me this. Why people do this? this is so unnatural. I mean, look at this, like, and the async pipe, of course. So look at this. This has nothing to do with the correct semantics and stuff. Like, this is like backporting. You know, you just backport your component and throw a grenade in there. I mean, how do you know whatever comes here is correct? You know, this is so unnatural. I mean, show me one like list or container component in HTML that does like this. I mean, essentially, it's just like that, right? So show me one that does it. None of it do it. All of them follow the content projection pattern. So why would we in Angular just break that and do stuff like this? This makes no sense. Like, think about it. Like, you make presentational components. This is presentation. This has nothing to do with your domain logic. And just to prove that, I will do the dependency graph again. Look, it's exactly the same. So I hope you learned something today. There are still a lot more cases that we could go for, you know, actually making that list do something more than just output the template. But my main goal here was to teach you how to solve anti-patterns. It's not really that much about the good case practices. Those videos are coming soon too. But for now, I would like you to, you know, ponder on this a little bit, and hopefully you're gonna use that tricks in your next project. And I hope you learned something. Please feel welcome to leave me comments below. I'm fueled by your positive comments, by your negatives as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward for the next set of videos where I'm gonna tackle more anti-patterns. So yeah, let's make Angular great, and let's you know, be a part of something bigger. Thank you very much.